We are live. Welcome to the RG DFS Tournament Takes podcast. I am your host, Chris Kirkwood, screen name Kirk D's, here with my esteemed colleague slash co-host slash head honcho over at Occupy Fantasy, Brian Jester, screen name Court Jesters. We are back for Week 15 COVID edition. Once again, we are presented by Yahoo, but crazy week, right, Brian? What's going on?
Man, you're telling me it's we've been every single minute it seemed like there was a new update on Friday, so we pushed the show back to Saturday morning just so we have all the information. And honestly, it probably gave you an extra day to recover from Vegas. How was it?
Vegas was amazing. I wish I was back there. I already want to plan my next trip. So it was nuts. So I met up with friends out there. Went to I used the Yahoo trip that I won. Which they have been doing all season long, or at least for a while there, or a 5K trip to spend. So I had to spend $5K in a weekend at MGM.
There's one place you can do it.
At MGM. Well, you do the gift shop. It wasn't good for it had restrictions. So it had to basically be clubs, drinks, food, beverage,
Gotcha.
Your room. But I got my room free anyway. So I didn't have to spend it on room. So I basically just had $5,000 to spend in restaurants and bars. So I took everyone out for dinner. So I was eating Wagyu, A5 Wagyu.
Hey, there we go.
All weekend long. Tried some things that I normally wouldn't have tried and almost puked one time from. Are you a big sushi guy at all?
Yeah, I eat sushi from time to time for sure.
You ever eat uni?
I've never had uni, no.
It's disgusting. So I guess there's it's the greatest for people who love it, and it's very polarizing. The people and then other people hate it. I took one bite and I didn't even know it. It was in a hand roll. Once I got to the middle, I started gagging and I had to beeline to the bathroom, which I didn't throw up, but I thought I was going to.
Ringing endorsement there for uni.
Yeah. Oh man, it was nasty. But the trip was awesome. I got UFC tickets. That was crazy. I won money in UFC. However, if Amanda Nunes just wins the fight, I win an extra $30K on DraftKings. And so that was kind of tilting. I mean, my girl was a huge Nunes fan. She's been watching every week since COVID, she's had to watch UFC, so she's kind of become somewhat of a fan. And her favorite fighter was Nunes, and she cried. She shed a tear when she lost. So, and I was like, "There's no 30K." I should have, but I was just like, "There's no crying in UFC, there's no crying in baseball."
Yeah.
But I mean, it was great. It was an awesome trip. So I'm back trying to clear my head, and then all this NBA is driving me absolutely bananas, and now NFL is driving bananas, and then COVID, it's everywhere too. We're I'm come home now, it's hitting a bunch of close friends and family and stuff here, so it's sweeping the nation completely. So it's we're back to where we started. Anyways, so we are down to 9 games with the Seahawks, Rams, Washington, Philly being moved. So we got 9 games. I was kind of going to be big on the Seahawks Rams. So that was a little bit disappointing, but we'll make do with what we have. The thing that sticks out to me this week is that it's all about low totals, right? We don't have a 50-point total, period. There is none. We have the highest total is the Cardinals, who are favored over the Lions pretty heftily at 12.5-point favorites. Last time I checked, and a 47.5-point total. Right below that, the Falcons at the 49ers, who are big favorites. 49ers minus 9.5. Last time I checked, 46.5-point total. Then it gets down to Dallas, 10.5-point favorites over the Giants, 44.5-point total. And then Carolina at Buffalo. Buffalo's 12-point total, 12-point favorites, 44.5-point total. So basically, we've got some big favorites with somewhat high totals relatively for this slate. And a lot of these games look pretty gross, and we've got COVID popping out everywhere. Who knows if we'll get more by tomorrow? We both were kind of shocked. We didn't hear any news kind of break overnight or this morning. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's how it shakes out to me. What sticks out to you right off the bat?
You know, it honestly might be one of the grossest NFL slates in the history of DFS. Like, it's not even a joke. Like, it's really
yeah. Let's just call a spade here,
right?
right?
It's so bad,
Yeah.
right? No really good plays. Legitimately zero good game environments. All the high team totals are just massive favorites. So yeah, it's and again, things could change by tomorrow morning. So however, as gross as it is, I think that every other week we have all these projections heavy lineups winning, and maybe this is the week that we have a big spike week in tournaments with so much uncertainty and so much grossness out there.
Yeah, I think that's for sure. That maybe time to get a little bit weird this weekend. Also, one thing I'm thinking is maybe the general consensus is like people have been fed up with all the news throughout the week and aren't going to play as much this week. So maybe we'll get more overlay. So once again, the $1 million baller is up for Yahoo, 200K overlay again. So they are literally losing 25% on this tournament. And I'm thinking maybe this overlays because I think there's going to be less people playing this weekend. But I'll be in there for sure. I was in there that was the only thing I did while I was in Vegas. I pre-registered that contest and I woke up and made some lineups as I vomited from the uni. But we did all right. We profited. How did last week go for you at all?
I had some sweats on FanDuel and DraftKings. Nothing great on Yahoo. Pretty usual week.
All right. Well, let's get $1 million baller sweat this weekend. I mean,
yes.
It's about time, right? All right. So let's do what we usually do. We start at quarterback. We list our top values, our main plays, maybe a lot of overlap in between. We move over to wide receiver, then back to running back, then to tight end, talk about a couple of stacks and call it a day. I did nail my Russ to Lockett, at least the Lockett part of the Russ to Lockett stack last week. That was a pretty pivotal piece last week for high finishes in the contest. So we're on 2 weeks where we both loved Kittle, who was a slate breaker, and we liked Lockett, who was a slate breaker. So we need some more slate breakers this weekend. It's going to be tough to do, but let's find it. So right off the bat, quarterback, I guess what I wrote down, so I'll start from the lowest price. I didn't like any of the, I'm just be honest, I didn't like any of the value, right? The real value, the lowest value I liked was $28 for Tua. So, I mean, and again, this is testing my, as you said in the tweet. So Chop, so I would play head chopper against the Jets. So Chop was like, right when you tweeted that, he said, what's going on? Kirk, get your boy. He goes, what's going on here? You're soiling my name. And
it was a good thing, unless he took it as he's not very athletic and
he was just joking around. But he noticed, so that was funny. I liked the tweet. That was a good job. So anyway, so Tua is against the Jets. The thing with the Jets is you can do it via the pass or the run. They are 32nd in DVOA versus the pass, 31st versus the run. Whatever offers the path of least resistance for your team is usually going to go pretty well. But so I think Tua has a nice floor here. I don't know what his ceiling is unless this game kind of breaks out, but I could get behind it. You also have the situation where Waddle's out. It makes for a cheap pairing with Devontae Parker, who is going to be the de facto number one. You have Mike Gesicki in there too. So you do have options. We also have for the running backs, we have Gaskin that we're going to be interested in as well. But he's kind of the first guy from the lowest price. And then I just went up from there. And now it's just like I could play Dak versus the Giants. I don't feel great about it. It's easier. It's easier to run on the Giants. I mean, everyone runs on the Giants. I also worry about how great this game is in general, especially with Glennon at the helm of the Giants. Also with Zeke, who's just awful, and I don't know why they continue to use him. But Pollard's back, right? So and he does have all of his weapons now. The problem is none of them are screaming value because they're all kind of priced high to the pairings. But if you nail the right one, I think that could be pretty good. Then from there, there's Josh Allen, who's going to be the mega chalk. He's $34, 109 yards rushing, plus a TD last week. Just that last week just kind of shows the kind of ceiling that Josh Allen has. The matchup isn't the greatest against Carolina. You can run on them. That should help him being able to run personally. But basically, it just comes down to that when they scored touchdowns, Josh Allen is usually the reason one way or another, whether it's via his own legs or via the pass that they like to just keep pumping out. Also, you got an emerging cheap Gabriel Davis pairing because Emmanuel Sanders is out. And then, of course, you always got Diggs. You always got Dawson Knox. So that he's going to be the chalk. Kyler, this is iffy. So $40 for Kyler. I like Kyler. He's averaged 60 rushing yards a game since he's come back from injury. It's a great matchup against the Lions. It's just, will this game be competitive, right? Will there be the back and forth? I think it's possible. So I'm definitely interested there, but that's kind of all I like. And I'm hoping you got some more to add on here, or are we on the same page?
It's not a ton to like, dude. So I agree with you. I think Tua is the cheapest I would go at quarterback, $28. The other values are just a low ceiling plays. Teddy Bridgewater, Trevor Lawrence, Huntley starting for Lamar Jackson in Baltimore more than likely. And then, like you said, you have the main play. So Josh Allen's underpriced. For some reason, he's down to $34 this week when he's been higher than that pretty much every other week in the season. So I agree with you. I think he's the play that everyone's going to gravitate towards. As far as Dak goes, I'm off of him this week as well, despite what the team total is saying. Obviously, he hasn't been playing that well. Two, Tyron Smith is out, and we've seen what happens to that offense when Tyron Smith is out. Yes, the Giants don't rush the passer. They're one of the worst pressure rate teams in the league, but still losing your left tackle, someone as important as Tyron Smith, I think, if you're looking for tiebreakers, that would go against Dak for me. I like Kyler as well. I like Aaron Rodgers a lot too against Baltimore. With Calais Campbell is out. Their play caller, Chuck Clark, is out. So a lot of missing pieces due to COVID and injuries for the Baltimore defense. So I really like Aaron Rodgers. And I think if you're getting tricky in tournaments, the baller maybe, I like Jimmy G a lot too. If they choose to if they choose to pass versus run with Jeff Wilson in the backfield, as we've seen the last couple of weeks, you can pair him with Kittle, pair him with Debo, pair him with Ayuk. I like Jimmy G as a cheap tournament pairing as well.
Let me raise you one more.
All right.
Big Ben.
I'm on him too. Yeah. Okay.
He's I didn't write him down per se, but I definitely dug into him a little and also watched him last week. $27, playing the Titans at home. He looked pretty good against Minnesota, at least slinging the ball. He had 40 pass attempts, which is back to the Big Ben ways. There was a game he had 58 pass attempts this season against the Bengals. Now he only completed 38 of them, but at least it shows some kind of upside there. Deontay Johnson looks like a pretty good play. Claypool is fine. So Ben is somebody I'm giving some thought to. I will probably include him in my pool, and glad to hear that you're on board.
I'll just say real quick, the Steelers have one of the highest team total increases throughout the week of any other team on the slate. So, again, we're looking for gross quarterbacks to play. I'll take the guy that the betting markets are pumping up a little bit.
Yep. I just worry about this Joe Burrow Denver game. Burrow I can always play a little bit, but I'm actually if I was gonna dumpster dive, Trevor Lawrence would probably be my guy, and there's no reason. Or reason. It's really just that the narrative behind the Jags getting rid of Urban Meyer, which has to be a relief for half the team. And Trevor Lawrence has spoken about that and basically said in so many words that, they can focus now and stuff like that. So I think he is totally on board here with the firing, and maybe they come out with a little extra fire. We're going to see. The only problem is the big narrative around James Robinson, and it does make sense that they use James Robinson a ton, but it is a matchup with the Texans. So this game could be very competitive. Two kind of bad teams going back and forth. So $22, I could see it happening. Plus Marvin Jones got into it with Urban Meyer, and so maybe he has a big FU game this week. So this is strictly narrative based. But that's it. I don't think we need to waste any time on any more guys. Do you?
Nope. Let's do it.
All right. Let's move it on over to wide receiver. Couple of nice value options this week that at least look pretty good on paper. My favorite of the bunch would be Devontae Parker at $17 versus the Jets. If Chop was wide receiver eligible, I would definitely line him up in this matchup. Jets are 32nd in DVOA versus the pass. Waddle's out, right? Yep. So clear number one, nice red zone target for Tua. I do like Gaskin as well, but Parker at $17 looks pretty tasty. DJ Moore is cheap. If you're going to want to run back in this Bills game, he's more of a main lineup play. I think he's going to be over-owned for what he really is. I mean, he's cheap, but he is banged up a little bit. Also, with a hamstring, which is worrisome, but should be able to play. He has had a nice target share over the last couple of weeks, even with what they haven't done much with Cam or I'm having a
PJ Walker.
Yes, thank you, XFL PJ. So the quarterback situation is dicey. He has not produced, but the targets are there, right? So 10 targets the last 2 weeks. Had a 100-yard receiving game against Miami 2 weeks ago. Has not gotten pay dirt yet. So, one touchdown and things look a lot different in any of the last 3 weeks. Kind of a nice floor where it's been 11, 12, 13 fantasy points, just one touchdown and you're looking at 16, 17 fantasy points with room for more potentially. And the Bills their defense has not been great, especially with the loss of Tre'Davious White. So there's opportunity there. Gabriel Davis is the cheap guy that's going to get a lot of steam because he's going to be real popular over on DraftKings this week. But he has kind of emerged, right? Like we've seen it in these showdown slates so far. Gabriel Davis has scored a touchdown in each of these last 2 games, back-to-back games. 8 targets last week. Emmanuel Sanders is out. So it looks like on the upswing for him. Another guy I like the name. It says something to me. Christian Kirk, 16 against the Lions. Hopkins is out. So it's do you want to believe in AJ Green? Or do you want to believe in Christian Kirk? Or do you want to believe in Rondell Moore? I have to, Kirk is that deep threat. Looked really good against the Rams. Didn't get a touchdown, but had a couple of deep passes for 86 yards, 6 targets. So I think there's upside there for sure against the Lions, depending on how that game breaks. And James Conner is a little banged up too as well, right?
Yep. Well, just so many guys in that range this week, right? Like there's so many $14 to $18 wide receivers. And you hit on most of them. Do you have any more that you want to touch on value?
No, those are my 4 I wrote down.
Okay, yeah. So the Arizona guys, Gabe Davis, DJ Moore, because DJ Moore's down to $15 now, which is crazy. I like Brandon Cooks as well against the Jags. You mentioned the Jags receivers too. Marvin Jones is $14. If you like Aaron Rodgers, and you should this week, and whether you pair him up with Devontae Adams, who's probably the main play that we're going to look at wide receiver if we pay up. You could also play Marquez Valdez-Scantling, assuming he suits up. He's questionable with a back injury, but he did practice all week. But if they're missing their signal caller and their deep free safety, the deep guy Valdez-Scantling is going to be a good play as well. So, to me, Chris, it's Parker, those other guys, the Arizona guys, DJ Moore, probably 2 of those guys plus Adams in your main lineup. Is that what you're thinking?
Or
are you thinking all 3?
No, I'm thinking like there's going to be like you don't even have to go really low. I think you can. I think like you can start it out with like Devontae Parker as your lowest guy, but so he's going to be someone I want. So maybe two of them, like two in this range, but if it does make sense to pair Gabriel Davis with Allen as well. I'm just not sure. I think there's a little bit more hype than there should be. Like I don't want to get stuck with a busting Gabriel Davis chalk though. But
Right.
yeah, I think two of those guys are one of the big guys, or like maybe it's somewhere in that range. That's going to be a common build like Kirk, Parker, Devontae Adams, or you could go like Devontae Parker, Deontay Johnson, Devontae Adams. Like there's higher range. You could go Deebo Samuel. These so. Let's let's talk about some of the higher plays that you were alluding to. So you like Adams, right? Like, and then obviously Diggs, right, has to be in consideration on a week where Allen is going to be played so much. Deebo.
So I guess like Debo can obviously bounce back, right? But he's basically just turned into like their running back too, and that's it because his target shares that he's got one or two targets each of the last 3 games. Can he keep busting 20-yard touchdown runs? Obviously, he's super talented, so maybe. But the usage in the passing game is kind of concerning to me. And again, that can always bounce back against Atlanta. But I mean, if we're going to pay that price tag, I would like to see more than 2 targets a game.
I hear you, but the thing, and yeah, the price tag is the thing at $34, and so then you can look at Ayuk for 17, right? Like, and feel a little bit more comfortable. But the thing that I keep thinking about is like, what if like if we go back to like it was against the Rams in week 10, where he busted off, he had 5 rushing attempts and 5 targets for 97 yards. What if like he goes off on both of these games, both of these sides, he gets a rushing touchdown or 2 and has a decent receiving game, then it's you're certainly going to want him. I know that's a lot of wishful thinking, and Kittle is certainly looks like the man here. Like if Kittle gets usage, he smashes. It's like there's no one to stop him. It's just whether they use him to block or they let the guy go. So certainly they've needed him and they've used him and he's come on. So I think it's tough. Like, but those are the 3 main plays. But so to me, it's exposure to each of them probably makes sense. Ayuk, Deebo, and Kittle.
Exactly. And again, like I said in the quarterback section, if we like all 3 of those guys, I think Jimmy G, can easily get us there in tournaments if one or two of those guys go off.
And then we haven't talked about the running back plays either yet. So It's funny. It's like we're gonna like all the same teams, all the plays, and we're not gonna want to play them all together. So But anyone else you thinking here on the higher or middle range or?
The other guys we haven't mentioned, those Dallas receivers you mentioned, no one's going to play them because they are appropriately priced, and we have all these other values at other price points at the receiver position. Julio, maybe if they get an uptick in his snap count, he played a decent amount in the first half, and then there was a blowout game, and he didn't play as much in the second half. He's still the only receiver that they have. And then, we always have to talk about Jamar Chase just because of his touchdown ability. And again, at his price, he's so good.
He's ridiculous. And like, even with the drops, he's just ridiculous.
Yeah. No one's going to play him at $29 when you have Diggs at the same price. So I think, baller pivots definitely look to Chase.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb looks pretty good to me at $26. It's just that, and then you got to, it's pick your poison. I have no way to tell you whether it's going to be Lamb or Amari Cooper, or if Gallup's going to come out of the woodworks, but some exposure certainly makes sense there. There's not a lot else I like. I've mentioned Deontay Johnson. He would be my Big Ben pairing. You said Julio makes for a bring back in that game. I think that's the game I'm going to try to get a little bit more heavy on. I got no one else.
Yeah, let's go to running back and talk about these super awesome, amazing, great plays.
Yeah, we do have some good, decent plays though. Depends on. Saquon at $16. That's a decision point this week for GPPs. I could see him busting, right, or like just being average and not getting you there, and being an underweight stance really helping you out. But there's just not a ton. he obviously had the talent is there with him. He's off the injury report, has no tag this week for his ankle. Did get 16 carries last week, is obviously involved in the passing game, 3 targets, which is kind of low for him, had 9 targets the week before. And Dallas isn't a team that Glenn and I doubt is going to be passing on with much success. They give up a lot of the run. They're ranked 19th in DVOA versus the run, first against the pass. So it just makes sense to feed and to get some screens going to Barkley. So Barkley seems like a really solid play here. James Robinson, that's my boy. I always like him. So now he's going to be chalk. And a lot of it is narrative based, but really it's because Carlos Hyde is out and it's versus the Texans. Texans are 28th in DVOA versus the run. That they've already been talking about that he's going to get a full starter's workload now. We'll see what that is, but this could be just, James Robinson from all angles in this game and him stepping up and having a monster game. And if he gets in the end zone 1 or 2 times, then he is going to absolutely smash. Najee Harris is in play, right? Myles Gaskin at 21 versus the Jets. You have to like him. He had 23 carries last time they played the Jets. Did get in the end zone with a passing touchdown. The Jets are just bad against the pass and the run. And then you can start it off and tell me whether you like Jeff Wilson or not at $17.
Nah, man, he's dust. I'm out on Jeff Wilson. This is the week he'll bounce back. But so here's the thing: they keep using Debo in the backfield. They're using Juszczyk on passing downs. Like, you really need Wilson. He has to score a touchdown for you to get there. So, I guess he's in play as a 10-point favorite, right? But I think I would just prefer to play the passing game there. All the guys you mentioned are much better plays. And so J-Rob, Najee Harris, Gaskin, Barkley for sure. And then you have some other guys in that range. But I don't know. Are you on Jeff Wilson this week?
I don't think so. It's just tough. So it's like this may be the week that he gets it done, right? But you just look at he's had this opportunity since week 10, right? 10, 11, 12, and the bye, and then week 14. He's had 10 carries, 19 carries, 13 carries. What the most fantasy points he scored is 6.3 fantasy points because of 50 yards against the Jags. He got 1 target, and he just doesn't get any targets, right? So it's tough, right? It's like okay, you have to like him a little bit, or at least consider him, because you're getting a game that you like, the game about, you're getting a team that loves to run the ball, right? And the 49ers, that's their identity. They're a nice size favorite, home favorite against an awful defense that's bad against the run, and that's the Falcons. So it makes perfect sense to play him, right? Like, and I think I did jam him in a couple of weeks ago, and I did against the Jags. I remember, but you're right. I mean, they're using Debo. It's just clear, like they're using Debo, and so Debo is like going to get those high equity, or at least going to vulture off a lot of those high equity touches in the red zone, right? And they have weapons from every angle, so he's going to be kind of lost in the shuffle. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if he goes off and you ended up needing him, and they get down to around first and goal from the 3, and he just jams it in a couple of times, and that's part of the range of outcomes. But I think you're right, and I'm probably going to have to stay pretty low on my ownership in the baller with him.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, if he beats us, he beats us. I mean, I'd rather play AJ Dillon, who's $1 cheaper against Baltimore, who's missing all those guys on defense. I'd rather play probably Michael Carter, who Robert Saleh says is going to return and have a big workload this week. I even like Devonta Freeman at $18 because Green Bay's missing Kenny Clark, and if they go to a more run-heavy game plan with Huntley under center. Plus, I mean, like you said, you just pay a couple more dollars and get James Robinson or Myles Gaskin. So, I don't know.
I even like Dante Foreman better.
Foreman too. Yeah. I wish they would just give him the ball because he's looked pretty good when he's gotten it. I wish they would stop this 3-headed mess. But yeah, give him the ball and give him the goal line work. $18, he could get there. All these guys could easily outscore Jeff Wilson. So I don't think he's somebody that we have to really look too hard.
Yep. I had some interest in Devonta Freeman too. That game could be okay, I guess. We'll see what happens. So Yeah, that's that. Let's move it on over to tight end, unless you got any other diamonds in the rough.
I'll just say Joe Mixon, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
guy that I don't think he'll be played that heavily.
He's going to get no ownership. He's $31, right? He's had two busting weeks in a row.
But I mean, this is a guy scoring multi-touchdowns like every game before that, right? So
and the volume was there. Like he had 19, 18 attempts in the last 2 weeks, and in losses, this is a game that they could easily win. And so, I think you got to like that for GPPs. It's nice. It's like he's overpriced, and like that makes him a better play this week.
Exactly.
All right, tight end. Who cares? Call it a show.
Yeah. God. Yeah.
Kittle, $33, and is probably going to be the most chalky of the bunch. Kind of crazy. I think there's a lot of merit into playing Debo and Ayuk this week and loading up, and maybe the Kittle takes a back seat in this one at $33, because if he has like under 10 fantasy points in this one and you're paying $33 from the tight end position, that's going to bust. It's going to kill your lineups this week. I do like Gesicki. I always like Gesicki. That's a problem of mine, but like the opportunity should be there. He hasn't done anything in the second half of the season, right? Like, but first half he was up there doing work, but like Waddle's out now. He's going to be a trusted wide receiver, him and Parker. So I like that. Kyle Pitts, $14. You tell me on him.
I'm back in. After a couple weeks off, I'm back in on Kyle Pitts. I mean, they're just going to keep dropping his price until he's $10 by week 18. But with the volume against San Francisco, I'm back in this week. I think you pay down $14. I like it a lot. So because those are the main plays, right? Kittle, Gesicki, Kyle Pitts, and then you have some of those like mid-range pivots. But I mean, everyone's going to play Kittle or Gesicki. So if you want to get different in tournaments, just pick one of these other guys, and you'll get under 5% probably.
And there's Dawson Knox.
I like Knox too.
Yeah, who should see a bump now with Emo out, but he's just a bit nice red zone target for Josh Allen. There's Mark Andrews, but it's kind of scary if Lamar doesn't play. He did 11 targets, 11 receptions last week, 115 yards and a touchdown against Cleveland. And Lamar was gone for 3/4 of that game, I believe. So I can get behind him, especially it's kind of a big game. It is a big game for all intensive purposes there. So Andrews could certainly step up. I have no opinion. I just like Dalton Schultz. There's just too many mouths to feed. Like I don't want any Evan Ingram.
Zach Ertz.
Yeah, maybe. And he's dinged up a little bit. Yeah, but maybe I could see that. It's a hamstring that always kind of worries me. Also, you would think that they should be able to do it whatever way they want, but yeah, I don't know. Noah Fant. Yeah, who cares, right? Like, just
let's talk about stats.
Hike up the randomness on
yes,
range of outcomes on your tight end exposures, and just play what it gives you. All right. Let's talk about stacks. Give me your favorite.
All right. Favorite stack. For me, it's Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Valdez-Scantling. I think that triple stack. You don't have to run it back, I don't think, but if you want to, I do like Andrews, like you said, maybe Devonta Freeman, but I think that's my favorite overall stack. And then I mentioned it a couple times, but the Jimmy G for a cheaper quarterback stack, San Francisco. What about you?
Mine's going to be Tua. And I'm going to actually, I think it's just so easy to double stack him and just hope that the Jets can do something. So you're going to have to put some faith into Michael Carter getting some production in this game and keeping this game somewhat close, because I would go to either Devontae Parker or Gesicki or both of them. So that's one that, I could even play that in my main lineup. I probably won't. I'll probably block Josh Allen like everybody, but we'll see. Depends on how I'm feeling tomorrow. I don't like anybody. I think you've sold me on Garoppolo.
God, what a week.
Yeah. So I mean, it's the Falcons. So Jim and Jeff Wilson is inefficient. So they don't have the efficient run game. So it makes sense that the pass game would go a little bit smoother. I think Debo is overpriced. You get that little bit of rushing upside. Like I also said, if you get it, if you hit this game right, if Debo has a game where he gets running back carries for end zone goal line rushes, whatever, and gets in the end zone, and you get some nice passing targets, and he's just explosive. So this is, if it all breaks right, it could really help you out. But Ayuk is certainly in play too on the cheap end. The problem is bringing it back. It's like, who do I bring it back? You're going to be forced to bring it back with Kyle Pitts. You could do Cordero Patterson, but they've talked about, managing his workload now. So that's kind of scary. Maybe Russell Gage. I don't know. That's the gross thing about it. It's gross enough to play Jimmy G, but it's also gross enough to have to then think about a run back here. And I don't really like anyone else. It's like, I do like Kyler.
I think Kyler's the other. He would have been my third option in this stack segment for sure.
And then again, who do you run it back with?
No one. Just double, triple stack Kyler, and don't even worry about Lions.
That's true, actually.
Just let him win 40-10, and Kyler gets all the points.
All right, there you have it. Okay, so I think we're good for this week.
For this amazing week.
You can tell we don't have much patience at this point. We prepared for like 3 different shows. So hopefully next week things will go a little smoother. I think they're changing. There's probably going to change some of the rules. I don't know with the COVID protocols. Have you heard much about that?
Yeah, there was a couple of announcements today, so we'll see how that impacts player availability. But from reading, it sounds like players will be more available, not less available, which
more available.
And content production is a good thing.
Yep. Yeah, it's been a tough week for content from every angle, whether it's NBA, NFL. So, all right, this has been the RG DFS Tournament Takes podcast presented by Yahoo. That was Brian Jester. I am Chris Kirkwood, and we will catch you next week.